All right, AP Physics 2 exam information. What we know, there's going to be two questions. One question will be 25 minutes plus 5 minutes to upload your answer, a quantitative and qualitative justification. Number two will be 15 minutes plus 5 minutes to upload a paragraph length response. Um, Topics. It's going to be on fluids, thermo, circuits, electrostatics, and or electromagnetism. There will be no optics and no modern physics. We also know that although calculators are permitted, you won't necessarily need one. We can infer from that there won't be a lot of difficult mathematics there. Okay, you're more likely to have to solve in terms of variables than solve with challenging numbers. All right, what to expect? Again, here's a little asterisk. This is my opinion, my expectation. I can't promise this will be true. I expect that since there are only two questions, the questions might be multi-topic. Okay, so like a fluids slash thermo question. Okay, my favorite example of that is the 2018 free response number 4, where large boat spilled some oil. So you have buoyancy, Bernoulli, and optics. This is the question. Boat spills oil. There's buoyancy. It's absurd. It doesn't make any sense why those would be in a question together, aside from their topics in AP Physics too. All right. All right. So, even though some weird topics can be put together, keep in mind that some combinations do go well together. Fluids and thermo go well together because they both deal with pressure. Circuits and electrostatics both deal with electricity and have multiple crossovers, and electricity and electromagnetism are definitely a possible overlap. All right, since there's only two questions, I mean, basically what I'm saying is if I made the test, I would have one question on fluids and thermo and one question on electricity that bridged electrostatics and circuits and magnetism. Okay, so that's what I think we should expect for this exam. All right, again, more my opinion. I expect math to be more qualitative than quantitative. So here's a Bernoulli question. Given the diagram to the right, how would the pressure on the right compare to the pressure on the left? So first we use the continuity equation. Since A1 is larger than A2, we expect V2 to be larger than V1. Okay, then using the Bernoulli equation, P plus half rho V squared plus rho gy is constant. Since V is increasing and Y is increasing, P must be decreasing. So the pressure is lower on the right side and higher on the left side. So we used two equations, but we didn't use numbers. I think that that's a qualitative slash quantitative. I think that's what they mean by that. Okay. Again, this is just my expectation. I can't guarantee that this is going to be what the test is like. All right. Treat the exam like an open book exam. You'll learn to hate open book exams in college. They're the worst because that means the professor can put a question on some topic that he talked about for 5 minutes at the end of lecture one day because it's in the book and you have the book there. Or something he assigned for homework and you never actually did in class. Yeah, the open book exams are the worst. Okay. So first, if you're lucky, if you see a question, know how to answer it, good, you're great. Number two, if you don't know what to do but know where to look in your notes, that's not that bad. You just make sure you can get through your notes quickly and you'll be able to answer it. Not too bad. And if you don't know what to do and have no idea where to look, that's not where you want to be. All right. So time will not be on your side. They specifically mentioned that some of the questions will take longer than the time allotted to you. I think that's to prevent people from spending the entire time looking up how to do a problem. All right, so make sure your notes are organized in order that you understand so you can look through your notes quickly. All right, so I looked at the past couple exams. There's been 20 Part 2 questions on the AP Physics 2 exam since 2015. That was the first year of the AP Physics 2 exam. 3 fluids, 3 thermo, 5 circuits, 5 electrostatics, 3 electromagnetism, and also optics and modern. That's 26 questions because some of them were two topics, like the fluids and optics one. Multi-topic combinations. We definitely see a lot of overlap between electrostatics and electromagnetism. All right, fluids. So a part two fluids question is usually on Bernoulli and buoyancy. Buoyancy makes sure you understand forces up and down. If you're not moving or at constant velocity, the F net zero. So the upward forces equal the downward forces. Buoyant force points up, gravity points down, and if there's a third force, it depends on the problem. You have to read it carefully. Bernoulli, make sure you know the continuity equation. Higher speed means lower pressure, and higher elevation means lower pressure. Make sure you understand the continuity equation and the Bernoulli equation. All right, thermal questions. There's actually been a couple on that thermal conductivity question, the Q over T equals KA delta T over L. Usually one of those things where it's like, what do you put on your X and Y axis of a graph to make sure the slope gives you K? PV diagrams and ideal gas law. And remember, PV diagrams can include ideal gas law and the first law of thermodynamics. Okay, that's usually what's a part two thermo. Circuits part two questions. There's been internal resistance, simple circuits with capacitors, the R equals rho L over A equation, and conceptual. Internal resistance, the governing equation is that your measured is equal to your ideal minus I times little r, where little r is your internal resistance. I wrote a discussion about this on the 2017 follow-up questions. If you guys want another copy of that, let me know. Simple circuits with capacitors. Don't expect a circuit to be too simple because then it would be an AP1. Resistance, resistivity using R equals rho L over A. We did this in a lab with the Play-Doh, where it's like the slope of the graph is your resistivity. Conceptual questions actually are the toughest ones. They have those ones where like you disconnect a light bulb and what happens. I found one we can go over. Electrostatics questions are often coupled with other topics like electromagnetism, like we have particles moving through electric fields and magnetic fields. Sometimes there's electroscope type questions, like when something's charged and touches something else. There's questions with equipotential lines, if you guys remember that, and force potential from point charges, like where you have those four charges and you're in the middle. What's your force on the particle in the middle, right? And a bunch of them cancel. All right, and electromagnetism. Electromagnetism questions usually revolve around charged particles moving through a magnetic field or a loop of wire entering, exiting a magnetic field. Okay, so yeah, you got to know the right-hand rule. Definitely know the FM equals QVB. All right, so in my next video, I'll go over some of these questions so we can get a look at what we're expecting.